Looking to pursue musical theater in college, we know the thrill of saying yes to that dream and the overwhelm that comes with pre-screens, auditions, applications, and more. There's no single path to the right program or to standing out in the audition room. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Julie Kavanaugh, Program Director of BVC Aspire. As an actor and an arts educator, I've spent the past 10 years helping students and families navigate pre-screens, auditions, and everything in between. Whether you're just starting to explore or gearing up for the final stretch, Aspire is here to help you navigate this roller coaster with clarity, confidence, and a little fun along the way. Welcome to the Aspire Guide to Musical Theater College Auditions, where we dive into the roller coaster ride of those musical theater college auditions. Our mission is simple: to help you find a program that values your worth and allows you to thrive. Hello, everyone. Today, I am so excited to introduce a performer and coach who truly embodies what it means to balance grace on stage and off. She is a powerhouse performer, coach, content creator, and mom whose career has spanned Broadway tours, regional theater, concert work, and now life as an artist and parent in New York City. Please welcome Aspire Performance Coach Grace Morgan. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Julie.
Thank you. I am so good. How are you?
Good.
Well, I'm so excited you are here to chat with me today. You are just an amazing all-around human, and we have known each other now for many years because we first met in book club, the
Yeah.
infamous book club where I also met Chelsea and Casey and Katie, who also used to be a part of BBC Aspire. Someday we're going to have like a book club reunion because that book club was filled with just
Definitely.
some epic, really amazing women and people. So I had to share that little fun fact. Grace, can you tell us a little bit about your training and your younger years? What first turned that spark into a professional path or dreams of a professional path in the arts?
Yeah, so I was always really interested in musicals. My parents grew up both doing community theater when they were young. None of them pursued it professionally, but that was a big part of what we used to listen to when we were young. When I was about 5 years old, I think my family had heard that there was a local community theater that was doing the Music Man, and we all auditioned and we all did it together. So I kind of grew up doing lots of community theater with my family, and it just kind of became a part of our family identity. And then I really was the only one that took to it. And it was pretty early on that I had decided that I wanted to do this professionally. So I started working at the professional theaters around the Indianapolis area when I was around 10. So that's when I first started getting paid to do it. And then by the time that I started the college audition process, I had already been very involved with lots of different things. I used to, in high school, tour the country with this group of kids that did samples of all of the Broadway junior shows. So we would go to music education conventions and perform like a sampling of all of these different Broadway junior shows. And so in high school on the weekends, I would travel all over the country. It was quite a troupe of kids. Like a lot of us are still performing. Like Nick Christopher, who's in chess. We used to like tour the country when we were like 14, 15, just like doing this on the weekends. It was very fun.
That's really cool, Grace, and so neat to see how you were in it from a very young age, which is really cool to see and to learn about. And so you got your BFA in musical theater from the University of Michigan. What drew you to that program, and what kind of stands out most from your time in school?
I actually heard about Michigan because I watched Eloise at Christmas time. And I saw Gavin Creel for the first time on screen. And I was like, where did he go to school? Because I want to sound like that. And I want to be like that. And so I looked him up and found out that he went to Michigan. And that was about the time that they had started uploading all of those, like 2007. That's like when senior entrance was born. I started looking all of that up on YouTube and got so excited about Michigan, and it very, very quickly became my dream school.
I remember very vividly that like age of the YouTube videos of things like that. Because, we didn't have like Instagram or TikTok to check on. And I did the same
No,
thing. I
I
remember I
didn't.
watched like the senior showcase videos and like the concert, like the song
The girly
cycles.
show.
Yes, that one. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I remember it so vividly. The hours spent
The bl-
on
yeah,
YouTube.
my obsession with Courtney
Yes,
Wilson and Andrew
yes.
Keenan Bolger and all of those.
What were some of your favorite memories or takeaways from your time at school, your 4 years at a very established musical theater training program?
One of the things that I really took away from that program was learning how to be a human. I spent a lot of people who go to school for musical theater spend their summers at places like the Muni or at Wichita or just doing theater all summer long. And I remember a lot of our professors were like, sure, you can do that if you want, but also learn how to be a person and be a human. And so my summers in college, I worked on a dude ranch, like riding horses. My siblings worked there too. My siblings really liked horses. My family comes from horses. My grandfather was like a horse vet. And so we were always looking for ways to kind of my siblings were always looking for ways to kind of incorporate horses into their life. And growing up the way that we did, like we were always fine, but we were never a family that was going to like own horses or own land. And so my mom kind of encouraged us to kind of go out west and like work for a place that will let you ride horses for free and pay you for it. So that's what we did. I worked in the kids program and I would take care of all of the kids that their parents and their families were vacationing there. I felt like that was my a big part of my takeaway was prioritize collecting experiences as a human being and not just focusing so much on being involved in musical theater. And I think that that's given me a lot of balance in my life and also ability to pull my self-worth out of my career and in times when I've had to take a back step and prioritize my personal life, it still comes with some fear that like, oh no, what if I never become anything? But I think that I have a good understanding of the fact that I am becoming, regardless of what is happening in my career. I am becoming someone of deep value, and I'm the one that gets to say that to myself, not anybody else, not any kind of credit or anything. So yeah, I think that was a big part. And then also just my relationships with the faculty has been so incredible to me. A lot of the professors at Michigan, they were there at my wedding. They were there holding my first babies. They've been there supporting me and sending me gigs when someone is like, hey, do you know of someone who does this or whatever? They're so intertwined in the health and wellness of all of their students lifelong. You have no idea what these professors are doing for you in the background daily. And I think I really, really learned that from the faculty at that time during my college that they were going to really care for me forever. I have personally experienced that on 10,000 occasions. They just never forget anybody and they always want good things for their students and they will fight for them in rooms that they're not in.
Oh, Grace, that's so beautiful to everything that you've just said. I'm excited to dive a little bit more into kind of like the college stuff a little bit later, especially because you talk about, of course, the skills that you learn and the training, that's like a given, that's going to happen. But these qualities of finding your worth, learning how to be a grounded, true, kind human, and the value of these relationships and how these faculty members put so much into their students. And that also ties into the college audition process and how when faculty members are, you're auditioning for all of these faculty members, that they are, that you are auditioning, okay, are these the right kind of people for me? Because also they're thinking about, hey, I'm about to spend 4 years and invest so much time and care into each of these people. And that's such a beautiful thing and a wonderful way to also shift that perspective of the audition experience that these
Totally.
young people are going through going into the college and college auditions, which we're definitely going to get back to later. But I would love to hear a little bit about Grace, about your kind of transition from graduating into like living in New York City. What were those like first few years in the city like?
The school that I went to at Michigan they have a showcase in New York, and it's definitely not a given. In fact, it's quite rare to, I think, sign with an agent out of showcase. There were plenty of people in my class that did not sign with an agent out of showcase. I was lucky enough to sign with someone right out of showcase, so I stayed in New York for a couple weeks post showcase, and I met with agencies, and I signed with somebody, and then I left for the summer to do a show, and then I got married at the end of the summer. So it was like truly a roller coaster. And I, of course, married someone from my class. We were just besties a lot of college, and then started dating end of our junior year, dated all of senior year, got engaged like a week after showcase, and then got married like 3 months later because we were like, well, we don't know what our life has in store, but we know what the next 3 months have in store. So let's just plan a quick wedding and move to New York together. So we did. We had a wedding in my hometown, and then we moved 2 days later. So we showed up 2 days after our wedding and looked for some apartments, signed a lease on a little studio apartment in Washington Heights, and then painted the apartment, bought a mattress, and left for our honeymoon. So we had our honeymoon, and then when we came back, we were just kind of auditioning. And actually, the very first gig that we got was together. It was a regional show that we both were in together and gave us our cards. So we got our equity cards that way. And then very quickly when we came back, I went through the audition process for the Phantom of the Opera and left for the Phantom of the Opera tour. So it was really quick. I did a couple other regional gigs here and there in that time. I will say my impression coming out of school was that I was nailing it. Like, I felt like everything was going well. I felt like, ooh, like fresh blood. Like, I was getting all the good appointments. I was going in for all the big things. I felt like, oh, this isn't that hard. Like, this is so great. I'm going in for all these Broadway shows. I remember one of my first auditions post graduation was for Glee. And I was like, oh, no big deal. I felt truly like the world was my oyster and everything was going great. And then of course, like booking something like Christine, like like I was just like, and they were like fighting for me. Was I going to be in Phantom or was I going to be in Les Mis on Broadway? Like we weren't sure. We were waiting to hear what was going to happen. Like, was I going to be Cosette? And so I was like, oh, this is amazing. I love New York. Um, yeah, and then I'll tell the rest of the story later because it didn't end up being like that when I came back.
Well, it's such an interesting, you coming out of school is so exciting, especially with the showcase and
Yeah.
you're new and and we can chat a little bit about more about that. The path that you necessarily envision isn't always the exact path, especially because we don't have one exact path in this crazy roller coaster, exciting, thrilling,
Yes.
career that we've chosen. To
Yeah.
go back a little bit to Christine. So you performed as Christine Daae in Phantom of the Opera on tour. What was it like to step into such an iconic role?
Man, I always tell this story because I think it's really funny. I did not grow up with Phantom of the Opera. And so I remember even in my final audition, I think I had 8 callbacks for this role. It took, I think, 3 months for us to go through the process, with all of the different work sessions and callbacks and chemistry reads and all this stuff. And the last one that I went in for, I was singing "All I Ask of You" with the with another person who was also, they weren't sure if he was going to do Phantom or Les Mis. We were like being shared between rooms during the days. It was really interesting. So his name was Jason Forbach, and he ended up being in Les Mis on Broadway. Yeah. So Jason and I were doing this chemistry reading. We were singing "All I Ask of You," and I kept forgetting the words. And they were like, "Do you not know the words to All I Ask of You?" And I was like, I did not grow up with Fairly Opera. I'm so sorry. I do not know this song that well. And they couldn't believe it. And I remember leaving thinking, I think I lost that job for myself. But I think that there was something maybe that was attractive about the fact that I like didn't really know the show very well. So I really had no preconceived notions. I think I had seen the movie maybe once. I had never seen the show on Broadway. I think I walked in really kind of ignorant, which I think is helpful in some ways because I had no fear. I had no preconceived notions of who she needed to be. And I just walked in and I was like, well, they're going to love it because it's me. It's just what I have to bring. And so I think that ended up helping in the long run.
That's amazing. That story is such an amazing showcase of being able to just walk in the room with you, like what a gift that is, and how that can really, it's such a benefit of trying to fit into some mold versus bringing what your version is to the table. Along with that, you've done so many amazing things. You recently swung in the City Center Encore's production of Titanic, which is so, so cool. What has being a swing, being an understudy, etc., taught you about adaptability as a performer?
Yes. Okay. Even with Phantom, I was the Christine twice a week. So I got very little rehearsal as well. And I think in those were the moments where I really developed my understudy eyes, is what I call them. And I know, Julie, you can relate to this. Like, there's a particular kind of eye that you have to have if you haven't understudied or if you haven't swung. Old me would have just been like, oh, okay, so I pick this coat up and I help this person put the coat on. But then when you develop your understudy and your swing eye, you're like, okay, I pick it up on this word at this time with this hand. And then this person tends to put this part of their body like this first. So I gotta get down, like these little thoughts of it, like in your mind, you're just like, oh, I helped someone in their jacket on stage. But like, no, the level of detail, or like, I grab this candelabra with my right hand and I keep it about 6 inches away from my body. And then, it's like all of these little tiny details that you don't know that you need until you develop your understudy eyes and your swing brain. So I think that was a rude awakening when I first started understudying. And then with the swing, I think I just went in thinking, okay, this is going to be 10,000 times what an understudy was, and just the level of detail. I just need to get really, really specific. I don't know how people did it before, like iPhones, and before being able to like be able to film something and then go home and study and watch. And so that was always really helpful. At City Center, they let us take videos, and the other swing and I were able to share those videos and go home and just like detail work. But I really enjoy organization, and that's something that my ADHD brain really thrives on. I enjoyed that aspect of swinging, was just sort of like putting everything in your brain down on separate notebooks and getting all that information kind of neatly put together. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But it is a level of detail that I really had to teach myself to have. I don't think that I intuitively have that. Props to people who can swing all the time and be a dance captain. I'm just in awe. It is a detailed world and I'm amazed. But
Well,
it was incredible. I'm really glad I had the experience.
yeah, and it's amazing that you've done that, and it's so interesting that you say you have to kind of train yourself in what it is going to be for you as well, because there's no like, this is exactly how it is to be an understudy. This is exactly how it is. But what's always involved is that attention to detail and that care, which is so cool to hear you talk about. Okay, great. So you've already mentioned that you and your husband met in college. And I loved hearing, I didn't realize that I knew this, but now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, hearing the timeline now is just so thrilling of college, summer jobs, marriage, New York. How thrilling.
Yeah.
Now, so right now you are back in New York City. You are raising your two
Yes.
beautiful boys. But you kind of mentioned like, hey, there was a moment where, because you guys left New York for a little bit of time, and
Mhm.
I would love to hear a little bit from you of what, those big transitions have looked like for you, especially now that you're kind of back in New York City, raising a family. You are doing the thing, you are working, you are doing it all, and being a mom, and would love to get a little bit more info about how those transitions have looked and your time now back in New York City.
Yeah. So I think we sort of knew we wanted a couple kids and we wanted them as close together as we could. So we left to kind of work on some other skills. My husband learned how to code, and I actually went to cosmetology school before I got pregnant to kind of give myself another skill as well. Um, and part of the reason for that, actually, to kind of go back to like when I got back from tour, um, all of the auditions started drying up, and I really hadn't been around enough to cultivate a lot of relationships with casting directors. And so I realized that like I felt like I was starting over. Things weren't like, I had a couple things that almost panned out that didn't, and I think I just sort of like experienced like my first industry heartbreaks and didn't really know how to continue. And I decided for my mental health, I needed to step back. And I also knew that I really, really wanted to be a mom. And at this point, we had been married for like 5, 6 years. And because we got married so young, we were like 22. And so we decided that I was going to take a little bit of a step back and stop auditioning for a little bit and kind of pour into creating a family, which takes so much time to get kids raised. Like it's years and years of time that I think I just like, when you think you're gonna have a baby, you're like, I'm gonna have a baby, but then it's like so many years and you're like, wow, like this is a lot. Like it really is kind of, it's good that you don't really know before you go in, because you're like you gotta romanticize it all because it can be really hard and it can take a lot of you, but you will get that time back. It's just a big investment upfront. So I think we decided, let's invest in family for a few years. So we moved to my hometown where we were near family, and that actually ended up coinciding with the pandemic. So we were there for, I think in total, like 3 years. But I knew that the goal was always to come back. I did not want to, I love my hometown, but it wasn't for me. I wanted to move back and be back in the city, and I had so much more that I wanted to accomplish. And I think that there is a common misconception amongst women in this industry that you have to accomplish everything you want before you have a family. And for some reason, that was never in my brain. I never signed off on that. I'm constantly becoming. They're going to fit into our dreams and our life and our world. I'm not going to wait until I accomplish everything, because also, what if I never accomplish everything? And then here I am at 45 and I forgot that I also wanted a family, and now it's harder. I really knew what I wanted, and I knew the order that I wanted it in. And I knew that I could still have all of these things and have children, because look at all of these incredible, every year it's like the whoever wins the Tony, it's a mom. Like always. It feels like it's so often like a mom up there talking about her kids. And I was like, I want to be that mom receiving my Tony talking about my kids. So I think that's always been a big desire of mine. And I'm so glad that I did it. And I have had to contend with the fact that like everything hasn't gone right in my career, but also like so much of life, it's not all going to go exactly the way that you want. And you're the only one that gets to be in charge of how your personal life is going to go down. Like, you can't sit around and ask casting directors when's a great time to have a baby. You have to decide that. If that's something that you want to do, if you want to go take that trip, if you want to take that time off to go to your friend's wedding, if you want to take time off to have a baby, if you want to take some time off for your mental health, no one is giving you permission. You have to take that for yourself. And I'm really, really glad that I have the foundation of the love that I have with my husband, the love that I have for my children, and the love that they have for me. And I love that they get to watch me pursue my dreams. I think it's incredible, and they're so proud of me. I got to sing on the K-pop Demon Hunters movie, and they tell everybody that I sang on that film. Like everybody in the streets. So like, my mom singing K-pop Demon Hunters. I've never been cooler.
Grace, that's amazing. So it's
Good.
like preparation, listening to Grace and watching this very great movie. But it's so beautiful to
Oh
hear
my
you
God.
talk about how there's no timeline. There's no one
Yeah.
right timeline. And it's really beautiful and very inspiring and empowering to hear you talk about this and to follow along with your journey. Now, how has motherhood kind of changed your perspective? Has it changed your perspective at all as a performer? Be curious to hear.
I mean, I think that it's I feel very powerful when I'm in the room. I think that that has really affected how I perceive other people. I feel like at the end of the day, I have the admiration of my children and my husband, and I don't feel the need to like, I don't have to have their admiration as much because I know that I have people that love me and that look up to me. And I think the other thing that motherhood has given me the perspective of is that everyone is a child. And I look at everybody and I have a lot of more empathy for them. And I think that when I see even just like men in the industry, sometimes they act like power hungry. And when I look at that, I just see them as like these little boys that like need like love and attention, And I think it's really helpful for me. I'm not so scared by like men in the industry. I'm just like, oh, like I see that you're wanting something from your mom that you didn't get, like it's just this really great perspective. And also, I think one of the most empowering things to remember as you become an adult is that you can't get in trouble. Like you are an
Mm,
adult and they are an adult. Adults can't get in trouble with other adults. And I think there are consequences to actions and there are conversations and there's repairing that can happen. I think all that, of course, still exists. But I think that especially being like a young kid in the theater, working in professional settings as a young child, I always was like worried that I was going to get in trouble. And I felt like a child in the space of a theater. And so as I grew into an adult, I would be like, oh, am I in trouble? No, I'm an adult. I'm not in trouble with another adult. Like, we're all adults and we're just here trying to get along as well as we can and do the work that we need to do. And so I don't run around feeling like a child anymore because I'm a mom. I'm allowed to like take up space. I'm
yeah,
allowed to have misunderstandings. I'm allowed to talk to somebody and say, oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be like, oh no, I'm in trouble now. Like I'm in timeout. Like that's not, we're adults.
yeah.
And so I think that being a mom has given me that kind of leg to stand on and be like, no, I'm a mom, I'm an adult. And if you need something from me, let me know and I can make that adjustment. But
Yeah.
it's not like crushing me like I'm a child.
I love that. Also, because it's like it's not a test. An audition is not a test. I love that. I love that perspective. Okay, Grace, you do so many amazing things, along with being a performer and an educator, which we are going to get to talking about. You're also a content creator, and you have such a joyful, inspiring presence on TikTok. What has this shift to a virtual world been like, and how does that kind of complement with your life as a performer, like on stage, all of these elements, because you do so many amazing things, and what has that kind of looked like?
And that's been really surprising. That's kind of come out of nowhere. I always have enjoyed sharing online. Social media for me has always been a really positive thing. I find that my personality is one that just really loves to cheer for people. And so I think social media can be really hard if you're in a really bad place and you start doing a lot of like comparison scrolling. Um, and if I'm in a particularly bad place, I do tend to kind of put my phone down. But for the most part, I just love to celebrate people and I don't feel compare. I think something that I find to be really empowering is when I think about emotions as train cars and I feel like I as a soul am kind of standing at the station and these train cars like jealousy and comparison, they they come past me and I have the ability and the strength to get on the train or to wait for the next one. And I feel very strongly that it is within my power to wait for the next one and wave it by. And I feel like that practice is something that's really good. The more that I can kind of separate the feelings of comparison or jealousy from my experience, my like soul experience as a human being, it brings me so much more freedom to celebrate others and to wait for the next train, which the next train might be my own joy, my own success that I get to hop onto. And I think empowering myself that way has made social media a really positive experience. If I see something or a trend that someone's doing that brings me joy, I get to participate. If I see someone sharing themselves in a really true and honest way, I'm inspired by that. I think what's great about social media in the world of theater is that you get a really great sense that, like, what are the things that you stop and watch on social media? So often it's like some of the same things, but it's like somebody being honest about themselves as opposed to, like, I'm not really that interested in people kind of like faking conversations on social media. That's not very interesting to me. And I think it's a really great perspective to have to bring into the audition room, because what's interesting about someone being in a room and you watching somebody in a room is them being authentic and being themselves. That's what makes you stop your scroll. And I think that that can work online, and it also kind of works into the room. Like, there are always going to be tons of actors. There are always going to be a ton of content creators. There are going to be a ton of influencers. There's no shortage of people. What there is a shortage of is people being willing and brave and vulnerable enough to show themselves and let people into their own lives and their own thoughts and their own concerns and their own insecurities. And when you allow somebody in, that's what's fascinating. We can't have too many people being authentically themselves. That's just an impossible equation.
That's so beautiful, Grace. Speaking about authenticity and bringing joy to a space and empowering people and celebrating people, you are such a skilled but joyous and just like amazing cheerleader and coach for young artists. What inspired you to first start working with young performers?
Oh man, I love to be an encourager. I think all throughout our lives, we have all of these little things that collect in our brains of things that people have said to us that have made us feel certain ways about ourselves or have brought out certain insecurities. And I think that coaches and teachers are so valuable to creating the identity of the person that is before you. And I think that I've always wanted to be on the positive side of that coin, creating a world where people kind of see the endless possibilities that they're capable of. I feel like I really experienced that in college with my professors. They asked me to do so many things that I was so uncomfortable. I went to college, I'd never belted a day in my life, and the only roles that I played in college were belters. Like, that was it. They gave me all the funny people who belted. And it made me feel so empowered that I was capable of so much. Because then, of course, I came out of school being like the classical, legit sounding girl. But also, now that I know that I can do all of this other stuff, it's been super empowering as I walk into my auditions. I'm like, oh no, I can do that. I can do that too. I do love to sing. I love, give me a Kelly O'Hara piece any day. But like, I can do the fun belty things and I can empower myself that way. And so I think one of the things I love to do with students is really to empower them and not to let them limit themselves, but to just be one other voice in their head that lets them know that they're capable of more than they think.
That's so beautiful, Grace. Along with that, are there any misconceptions that students may have about becoming a professional performer or anything about the professional performing world that you kind of love to help them unpack or kind of get rid of in their process when they're working with you?
I think so. I mean, I think one of the things that I strive to do is to be really honest about my own disappointments and my own experiences, my own success, my own disappointments. I think it's really good to make that available for people. I think that there tends to be it's a very human experience. But I think that it's like when you see someone with chickenpox and you're like, oh, I want to keep my distance because I don't want chickenpox. And I think that that's similar with people who experience failure or disappointment. If you see somebody who didn't become like the most famous Broadway star, you're like, oh, I want to keep my distance because I don't want that to rub off on me. Like, there's some sort of fear. And I think that being in college, there tends to be this like, I only want to keep my eye on the prize and I don't want to take in any information about things possibly maybe not going my way. And I think that can really do us a disservice as a human to kind of keep ourselves limited by the experiences of everybody around us. And I think that the more that we welcome diversity into our lives and our communities through every aspect of ourselves, the richer we become as people. And I think that the richer we become as a performer when we add the diversity of stories into our lives, of how people's lives have gone, because it doesn't make things, it's not a thing where it's like, if someone has the chickenpox, you're going to get the chickenpox. It's not that way in this industry. Really, all it does is empower you to know that life looks 1,000 different ways, and that you are one of the things that we talk about a lot in parenting is that the questions that people are really asking is, am I real and do I matter? Children need to know, are you real and do you matter? And I think that's true of everybody in their lives. We all want to be like, am I real? Am I a person? Am I real? And then, do I matter? The more that we open ourselves up to the stories of everybody around us, the more we see we are all real and we all do matter so deeply. And I think I want to empower students to continue looking out. Don't just look at the stories of the Kelly O'Haras and the Cynthia Rivos and the Ariana Grandes. Like, look at the stories of the people around you and see how much they matter. Their lives matter. Just because they haven't turned into a pop star doesn't mean that they don't matter. Because if they think that those are the only people that matter, they won't think they matter. And they do.
That's so amazing, Grace. And so important because this, for students going through this college audition process, it's such a roller coaster ride. And it is filled with joys and successes and yes moments, but it is also going to be filled with some lows. Some things are not always going to go your way. So experiencing, that transparency and knowing, like you're saying, that no matter what that looks like, that you matter is something that can stay with you to kind of be like the guiding light, the North Star in a journey that's going to have a lot of ups and downs. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful to hear you
Mhm.
talk about that and how you prioritize that in your work with your students and in the work with these Aspire
Yeah.
students. What are some of the things that excite you most about working with our Aspire students on their college audition journeys?
Yes. Okay. So one of the things that I often tell people is I have been through the college process myself. I have been through scary opening nights. I have birthed babies. I have planned a wedding. I have moved states. No stress has quite compared to my senior year of high school. And I truly tell them that because I want them to know that if they're feeling stressed, this might be as stressful as it gets because I think truly the older that you get, the more skills that you acquire and your ability to withstand um just cracks in the concrete of where you're standing, um, the ability to withstand seeing multiple paths of your life and multiple versions of your life, that grows as you grow. But this is really the first time that you're seeing multiple paths of your life out in front of you, and you have no control as to which path you're going to go down. And you just have to trust that the path that opens up is going to be the right one for you. It is the first time, really, that you've ever exercised that. For most of these students, they went to kindergarten where they were told to, then they were filtered into elementary school, filtered into middle school, and then they just went to their public high school. Like, there has not been a situation in which multiple paths have been open for them at the same time. So this really is kind of the first step of like practicing faith that something is going to work out the way that it's supposed to. There's no reason you have had any reason to develop those skills yet. And so I think that I try to really encourage students, the stress that you're feeling, it's so big because I think that it's really easy for us as adults to write off or to like honestly gaslight the experience that someone's going through at 17, 18 years old. And a lot of the experiences that I have with these students is just being like, take a breath, remember, this is the most stress you've ever been through. And to my knowledge, it's the most stress I ever went through ever. Like, this is such an intense experience. Your world has never opened up quite the way that it has at this moment. And I just don't think that we can encourage young students enough. The kind of faith that they're exercising that their life is going to work out is truly jumping off of a cliff, not knowing if there's a net below you. It is a huge, huge jump of faith. And that should not be belittled and will never be
Yeah.
belittled by me.
Grace, that's so beautiful. And it's so important. These emotions and these feelings shouldn't be squashed. They should be acknowledged, which then puts such a wonderful sense of faith and trust also in you as a guide. For someone who's been like, I've been through this and I see you and I hear you. And like you're saying, you matter to help guide them through what
Yeah.
this process looks like. To talk a little bit
Yeah.
more about this college audition process, are there any, whether it be technical or mindset misconceptions that you have seen students come into that you wish you could be like, students or parents, that you wish you could be like, please disregard, like any big technical pitfalls, misconceptions that you would love to like crack, be like, give a little big to.
Yes. One of the things that I so often am continuing to remind students and parents is that this is not your typical audition situation. Most of the time, you're going in for a specific role, you have a specific story, you have a specific point of view, and you're going in to fulfill a role. That is not what college auditions are. It is the ultimate test of vulnerability because you're walking in being like, hi, let's see if we're a good match for the next 4 years because I'm entrusting the next 4 years of my life to you, and you're entrusting the next 4 years of your education journey to me. And it is so much about a personality fit. It really has so little to do with like, what is my character thinking at this time? Like, it's so much more about how do I bring myself to these college auditions. So you may perform a song really, really wonderfully and really well, but if I don't see you, I'm not going to choose that song for you. I don't want you to sing a song that you do really well playing somebody else that I don't see in who you are as a person. So I have had plenty of moments where students have brought to me songs that they've sung from roles that they've performed in that are phenomenal. They're 10 out of 10, but I'm like, girl, that's not you. We gotta do you, like we gotta bring out like what is special about you because these people, oh man, 10 out of 10 times that I'm taking care of these students, at the end, I always say the same thing, which is, gosh, this faculty is so lucky. Like, whatever faculty ends up getting to work with you, they're the luckiest people in the world because you are stunning. Like as a human being, the incredible the gift it is to be with these students in these moments and to listen to them work out all of this stuff that's going on and the feelings that they're having in this song. Like it is such a privilege to sit with these students day in, day out and get to know them as people. Unfortunately, these faculty don't get that amount of time with them because if they did, they'd have to triple their class sizes because they they would get to see these beautiful individuals for who they really are, and they wouldn't be able to turn them away because they're so wonderful. And so I think that the best chance that you can give yourself is to just like turn yourself inside out and be like, here is my heart and soul, and you're not going to be sorry and you're not going to regret investing in this heart and soul because it's a good one. And I try so hard to tell my students that and tell the parents that it's such a different experience than auditioning for a role. It really can't be compared, but it's so worth it because when you find that faculty that you can entrust to your student, and or if you are the student, that you can find that faculty that you want to entrust them to your process and to your education. I mean, I'm still benefiting from it. I'm still benefiting from it from the time that I went to school.
Oh, Grace, that's so beautiful. Do you have, I mean, because that in and of itself is one of those moments that like I think about and it makes my heart so full. A, because like I think about the mentors that I've had in my life. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I want Grace to be my coach. I wish I had a Grace when I was going through this process. Are there any other moments that you can
I feel
think
that
of?
way. I wish I had a Julie.
Are there any other
Uh,
moments that you can think of that are you're like, oh, this is why I do this? Those like, with
oh yeah.
small or large, like, this is why I work with these kids. This is why I coach. This is why I do this moment.
Yes. Well, I think one of the whys for me so often is like when they come to New York and we get to go for have coffee. I think that's just so incredible. I try my best to keep in touch with all the students that I've had and keep myself available to their questions, their concerns, their fears. And I think um that is just so incredible. Like the people that I think it's a human experience to want to care and help for others. That's just being a human being. And so I think we don't take advantage enough of the fact that people around us want to help. They want to be helpful. And so I always try to encourage my students like, I am here. I am not here for these few months. I'm here forever. Like, I will forever care about what you're doing. And so I think it's encouraging when students reach out, when they come visit, we get to have coffee and then we get to become friends and
Yeah.
buddies. And I mean, that's certainly been true of my mentors in life to be able to have people on my side who just become my confidants, who I send 3-minute voice memo notes to sobbing. And then I have one professor in particular that I will just like send voice memo notes to for like 3 minutes. Then I'll be like, don't listen to that. It's fine. I'm better now. I feel better now. Like it's just like, I just to have those people in your life that you can just be undone with, it's really important. And I welcome those moments with students and I just love that I kind of get to be like another mom to them. Like we all need a million moms. Like where's our village? Like I'm part of the village.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, Grace. Okay, before we get into, I have some fun little fast
Oh yeah.
questions. But
Yes. Speed
before
round.
that,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is a piece of advice that you would give to yourself at this time? To yourself, like Grace, senior year of high school, about to go through this college audition process.
I feel like that's a pretty unique question for me because I owe everything in my life to school because that's where I found my family. So I think for me in particular, this isn't everybody's path in school, but I owe it all to school. I owe it all to the professors who admitted both me and my husband to the same class so that we could meet and fall in love. I think maybe a more general thing I would tell myself would just be to keep in mind that it's about more than the school that you go to or the career that you have. It's about becoming who you're going to be. Because, as they say, you can't take it with you. And the only thing that you have to take with you at the end of the day is your integrity. And I think that was a really big lesson that I learned early on because of the people that I had around me in life and the professors that I had around me. I think that is something that I learned at the end of the day. There are so many people that you're going to come across in this life that don't value their integrity at the end of the day. And I can't control that for them. I just know for myself, when we go, that's what we've got. We've just got our moral compass and our integrity, and I'm unwilling to exchange that for any amount of success. I think I really learned that as I became an adult. And if I could go back and tell myself that, I would say continue recognizing that at the end of the day, it's your moral character, it's your moral compass, and it's your integrity that you have to follow you at the end of the day. It's not your resume.
I love that. That's so amazing. Rapid fire round. Last few
I'm ready.
questions. Okay, here we go. Favorite musical theater dream role that you haven't yet played?
Linda.
Oh, yes. I'm ready. I'm going to be there, front row. I can't wait. Okay, favorite New York City activity with your kids?
Museum of Natural History.
Left-handed superpower. What's something you swear lefties are better at?
I think in general, we're just more ambidextrous. I think we have more capabilities with our left and our right hand than most right-handed people do.
Yeah, which makes sense because you probably are put in situations where you have to like utilize your non-dominant hand. So then inevitably you can just do all the things, which is just like you, Grace. You do
Yes,
all the things.
I just filmed a commercial where the whole commercial they made me use my right hand and I had to be like tossing vegetables and putting things like with my right hand and it was really hard, but I fooled them.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I cannot wait to see it. All right, okay.
Oh.
Go to coffee order or treat in New York City.
Daily Provisions has a cruller and it is the best donut cruller ever. It's so good. Must get.
Oh, that sounds delicious. And I'm hungry. Okay, if you weren't doing anything related to theater, performing, coaching, teaching, what would your alternate universe career be?
This is my children's favorite book to read at night. It's my book about me. That's me
Oh my gosh!
when I was in first grade. And they like to read it because it's all filled out from me when I was little. And I just have to say this. When I grow up, I want to be, this is what I wrote down: TV star, hairdresser, mother, actor, teacher, singer. I've been those things.
Grace, that's gonna make that likes to make me cry. Oh my gosh, that's so
So,
special.
so when I was young, I knew exactly all the things that I wanted to be, and I am all of those things.
Oh, Grace, that's so beautiful. Wow. Oh my gosh. And how
So,
cool that your children get to read that story and see you doing all of those amazing things.
yes, I'm not a TV star yet, but come on.
It's happening. It's gonna happen. What is
But
a
just so funny that I had this idea of all of these things that I wanted to do, and I do all
yeah,
of them.
it's amazing. It really is amazing how those dreams that you had as a kid and a young person, you can do them. You can achieve them. You should go out and try to achieve them. And that's so beautiful and really, really special. Speaking of dreams, what's a dream you still hope to achieve, artistic or otherwise?
I still really want to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
I've had so many moments that I've come close, and I still have not been on Broadway. And that is truly been the goal from day one. And I think it's well within my reach. I just have to wait for the right
Yeah.
time. And I think it's still going to happen.
Yeah. Yes, I think so too. Okay, last rapid fire question. What is a small joy or guilty pleasure that never fails to make you smile?
I just was talking about this with a friend yesterday. You know how people get cute aggression when they look at babies? I get that, but I also get fall aggression. And when I see leaves fall, it's like, like if someone were to tickle you and you'd like drop a mug or something, like it's involuntary. You can't be like, it's just
Yeah.
like you lose your grip or whatever. If I'm driving or if I'm walking and I see a leaf fall, I'm like I love fall so much. I get fall aggression for it. I just love it. And it takes me out of my day if I see a beautiful fall. I'm just like, I love it so much.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I'm a
Grace,
fall girl.
I am with you 1,000%. A, because fall in New York City is absolute magic. But if I see a crunchy leaf, a crunchy fall leaf on the ground, I will
Yes,
like dart to the other side of the sidewalk because I'm like,
yes.
I gotta crunch it. But I love that. That's,
I feel as if we both have a lot of golden retriever energy.
yes. That is in our soul. Grace,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing all of this today. Your journey, both as an artist and a parent, it's such a beautiful and amazing example of what it means to build a sustainable and joyful life in the arts. To everyone listening and watching, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to follow Grace's journey on Instagram and TikTok. I'll put that information in the description, and check out BroadwayVocalCoach.com/aspire to learn more about the rest of our fantastic team of coaches. Grace, you are remarkable. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You are. I'm so happy to be doing this. You're the best.
Oh, you're amazing.